Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a new 2017 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the band Suffocation, entitled Of the Dark Light, which came out today through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, if you're not familiar with Suffocation, get out. But I guess a lot of people would consider them like technical death metal, but I just call them like straight up brutal death metal, hailing all the way from New York, and they've been around since 1988. And they're known for their debut full length album, Effigy of the Forgotten, which, in my opinion, is still their best album. It's a classic in the death metal genre. And this new album, Of the Dark Light, is the follow up to 2013's Pinnacle of Bedlam, which I honestly thought was a really good album. And this album is also the first album with two new members. There's Charlie Irigo on guitar, who used to play for Pyrexia, and he's like a few around my age. He's like 24, so there's and new drummer Eric Marotti. So they have two new members. And when I came to hear this album, I was expecting like some high expectations. Well, not high expectations, just some really good expectations. But then again, Suffocation has never failed to release a bad album. Like everything that these guys have done is just spot on. And this album just exceeded my expectations, just blew my mind. The production is good on this album. Like everything is where it needs to be. I know some people have like a lot of complaints about sort of like the production and on some of the tracks, but I honestly think it's okay, good. And one thing I noticed about is the vocal work from Frank Mullen. I mean, my God, this dude is one of the sickest death metal vocalists I've ever heard, and it's just insane. And yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Frank Mullen has not left Suffocation. Like it was like around the time of Pinnacle of Bedlam, he stopped becoming like a full-time touring member. He's still in Suffocation, but he's not touring with them. From when I saw them twice last year, they had Ricky Myers, the drummer for U.S. Disgorge, doing vocals, and I thought he was doing a good job filling in those shoes that Frank Mullen has. But yeah, but Frank's vocals on this album just sound really tight, as well as all the other Suffocation albums. The riffs on here are very great and memorable. I mean, Terrence Hobbs is a riff machine. He comes up with some really great riffs on fly, and Charlie's guitar solos on this album and that newest addition to the band just sound really great. The bass playing is, I wish, could be a little bit more audible as on Pinnacle of Bedlam. And the drumming from Eric Marotti, what can I say? This guy is a machine. I wasn't really too familiar with this guy's drumming until I saw Suffocation last year, and I was like, wow, this guy's really very tight, like playing wise. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now this album clocks in at like 36 minutes, so let's go into it. Now the album opens up with Clarity Through Pervasion. Now this song is executed with surgical precision. Though this song has a breakdown in there which kind of creates like a dissonant kind of mood to it, with like a little lead playing over that one riff, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like there are some breakdowns on this album, but it's not like overdone and repeatedly and just very redundant. But I think it's a good song. And then it leads right into the next song, The Warmth Within Your Heart, which goes in very fluidly, and it's a perfect transition from like from clarity to preservation with The Warmth Within Your Heart. It's kind of like that interesting transition. Your Last Breath starts with a slow atmospheric vibe, then it perfectly builds up before coming into like a brutal onslaught, and I just thought it was a good song. Very interesting, if I say so myself. Return to the Abyss, one of the highlights on this album, which sort of brings a injection of melody to not really to the point where it's considered like melodic death metal, but has sort of like a good clean guitar tone, or guitar part I should say, and then the track, which makes it sound kind of unique. It sort of brings like a little melody in there, which is not common for just straight up death metal. Well, The Violation, a really pretty good song. Just sounds like the other couple songs. I don't know why, it just sounds like that. Blech, I can't even speak today, I'm sorry. And then we go into Of the Dark Light, the title track. And this song just reminds me of just old school Suffocation. Showed plenty of tempo changes and just a very subtle guitar solos in there. And there is a breakdown in there. I think it's pretty good. Some things should be left alone. Nothing much to say about there. It's just a typical straightforward death metal. And then Caught Between Two Worlds, which is just a full assault of like vocals, just drums, just blasting like chugging riffs with some mid-paced uh, passages with which just sort of like circles around there. It's just a it's a pretty good song. And then the album closes with Epitaph of the Credulous. I probably butchered that. Now, this song is just solo central, and I think that's a insane, brutal way to end this album. Just all solos all over the place. Now, overall, Of the Dark Light by Suffocation is a pretty good album. I think it's pretty much follows to what the Pinnacle of Bedlam has, but just did a couple different things in there. Now, if I have to give this album a score, I'd probably give this probably an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, this year in death metal is looking good. We had like New Immolation, New Suffocation. I'm also looking forward to like New Dying Fetus and other new death metal albums. It's looking good so far in like metal in general. So yeah, that's my review of the New Suffocation, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you on the next review, and keep it metal.